comments to add, and some precisions to bring. So don't really do React content. It's the first time I do that, actually. So we'll see how it goes. But I thought that was a good video for... I have something to add to the conversation, basically. As opposed to just sitting here and nodding my head in agreement the entire time. Not that I disagree with anything that was said, but further things to say about it. So yeah, let's get going. I guess we got 2 intro songs today. Also monkeys and rain.
Hey there, Postal here. Hi, long time no see.
Yes, please subscribe.
I am back. Go into detail on my hiatus. I will be streaming this Saturday, October 19th. So if you want to hang out with me then, kind of a back and forth. Today, just going to simply be talking about a new event in World of Warplanes, and that's the Soaring Eagle to try to get Emma Vogel. Emma Vogel is a pilot specific for the Tier 7 German FW-190D, the Dora. It's actually a plane I really enjoy.
I haven't played that plane enough to know whether I enjoy it or not. I did the grind to get to the BVP 212, the tier 8, which I play regularly, but the FW-190D, I played A8 quite a bit. A little bit less lately, but I had a phase. And A5 is one of my regulars to tier 6, right before this one in the tech tree.
So getting this pilot is actually going to be a priority for me because I do like this plane this much, yes. What is this particular set of missions? Well, I feel like this looks like Sarah Connor from Terminator movies. Anyway, it's freaking me out. We've got
Sarah Connor.
20 days to complete these missions. Some of them are going to be slightly easier than others, as they tend to be. My first thing that I'm going to tell everybody that I always mention on any of these mission marathon type settings, especially to get pilots and free planes and things of that nature, is just do what you can. If you get it, that's great, but it's not worth the stress of like doing 6-hour days of trying to get these things knocked out.
I disagree. Quit your job, quit school, dump your girlfriend, do nothing but play World of Warplanes, get the pilot. No, I'm just kidding. So we're clear, I'm kidding.
These I might find very easy to do, even with a year hiatus or however long it's been. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy for everybody. Some of them I'm going to find very difficult to do, and you might find them easy. My point is, try to get some of the free stuff out of it. If you can get Emma Vogel, that's awesome. We'll talk about her at the end of the video. But right now we're going to talk about the missions themselves.
Excellent advice there. My only gripe with this set of missions, and yeah, it's for a tier 7 plane special pilot, so they can't give us too lavish rewards, but it's a little cheap on the boxes side. I think there's 3 boxes and only one really valuable one to speak of, a steel crate. The other ones are going to probably have wet socks in them for 99% of people. So yeah, let's get into the missions, I guess.
Keep in mind, this is tier 4 through tier 10, which is nice. But some of these missions, you're going to want the highest tier you can possibly get, and we'll talk about that right out of the gate. Mission 1 is deal 40,000 HP of damage to aerial targets in any number of battles. Great thing of this is any number of battles. 40,000 HP, though, the higher the tier, the more damage you're going to be doing. So doing this at tier 4 is going to take you forever. Doing it at tier 10 might take you 5 battles. Or less if you're really good. Mission number 2.
My plane of predilection for that specific mission would be the tier 9262 if you have it. Something like a 94 gun rating with the proper equipment on it. I've gotten games with over 20,000 hit points of damage, so you could theoretically, if you get the right circumstances, 2 games in a row, you could do it in 2 games. It's possible. Not likely, but you're definitely saving yourself the most amount of time by at least using tier 9 or 10 heavy if you can. If you can't, well, there's plenty of light fighters that are high power, high tier, that can get almost as much damage to aerial targets. The Saber is one of them that gets a lot of damage in the right circumstances. You can get close to 10,000 a game. Yeah, the point is just to go as high tier as possible, preferably in a heavy.
And you get all these different rewards. So this is the focus. This is these cool different rewards. Like you get premium account time, you get premium ammunition, which I think is okay, useless. There's elements and there's all these different things that can be very helpful. Focus on that. Focus on getting a mission at a time. And if you can get all 20, that's great. If you can't, well, at least you got 5 or 10 or however many you got.
Yeah, so the fragmentation ammo is not useless. You'll get more crits, which might give you an additional kill a game, but it's definitely not as OP as most players make it out to be. There's other consumables that provide a much bigger advantage for the same amount of gold.
So mission number 2, earn 65,000 personal points in any number of battles. I'm hoping that takes me like 6 times. It might take you longer. Might take you less. Might take you 3 times because you're that damn good. But it's any number of battles, so don't stress out about it. Mission number 3, destroy 110 aerial targets. Remember, this is aerial targets, so this is defense aircraft, this is enemy aircraft, this is bombing runs. So any aerial targets is going to get you that mission number 3. Mission number 4, earn 5,000 capture points in any number of battles, and you get a standard supply crate out of it, which is always nice. Remember, capture points can be earned by taking over a sector, but also defending a sector if you've lost capture points in that sector. What do I mean? You've completely captured some sort of sector, an airbase, let's say. The enemy starts to capture it back, so you lose some capture points. When you kill an enemy aircraft that's attacking it, you get capture points back. That's actually earning capture points by defending a sector.
All right, so he's making me doubt myself a little bit here, so we'll verify that theory later. But I am almost certain that if you kill an enemy in a blue sector, a sector that your team owns, and the sector is already full, you still get credited the capture points that enemy is worth, namely 40 points for a defensive kill. Of course, the capture points only count towards the progress on the sector flipping if there's already been capture points removed by the enemy team. But as far as your personal count of capture points, they don't have to count towards the game's outcome or towards flipping the sector for them to be added to your personal count. I have the My Precious mod that keeps track of my capture points in real time. It's a heads-up display, so we see it right in the game view. So we'll be able to verify that later. We'll find a situation where we can definitely double-check that. But I'm about 99% sure that's how it works. So we'll see. Not a terribly big difference either way, but yeah, just the precision there.
Keep in mind, though, if the sector is at full capture points and you kill an enemy aircraft in it, you're not gaining any capture points, and so you don't gain any capture points for this mission. Mission number 5, receive the Conqueror Award. This is going to be really nice because you get this extra crew training when you complete the Conqueror Award for mission 5. Mission number 6, nice. Destroy 30 enemy multi-role fighters in any number of battles. Again,
Conqueror is 450 capture points. I don't know if you mentioned that.
Any number of battles. Enemy multi-role fighters, so this has to be the actual enemy aircraft. Multi-role fighters tend to be the largest portion of an enemy team. So
yeah, the typical spread is going to have 2 of each, except multi-roles is going to have 4. So let's say you get a entirely bot team on the other side. It's always, unless you're in a really low tier, it's always 2 of each and 4 multi-roles. This one looks bad, like destroy 30 enemy multi-role fighters, but I've gotten 10 plus a game. It's possible. So realistically, player of average skill might be able to get like 5-6 a game if they focus on that. But the point also I want to make is not to focus too much on the type of kills you have to get. Like, focus on winning the match first and foremost. Don't be that teammate that goes chasing outside sectors to finish to get kills for a mission. Just get them when it also achieves the purpose of winning the game. Don't sacrifice the odds of winning a match to complete missions. The missions will complete themselves fast enough eventually that you can get the pilot if you play a couple hours a day for the 21 days that the mission is going on. You don't need to like sacrifice anything. Absolutely not.
So that's going to be, you know, helpful at least. Mission number 7, deal 800,000 HP of damage to ground targets in any number of battles. This could take forever.
Yeah, that's a doozy. Ideally, you have a tier 10 bomber or GA you can do that in. Otherwise, RIP.
If you're going at tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, just takes forever because you're not doing as much damage. Even at tier 10, really good pilots, you know, are going to do 100,000 HP. And that's if, you know, everything lines up perfectly right. It's still going to take 8 battles, which isn't a lot, I guess, when you think about it. But that's the upper echelon.
Hey, 8 battles for most people, like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Meaning for most people, as in like your games last 8 minutes, 10 minutes, as opposed to you're just steamrolling the opponent in 3 minutes and queuing up for another one right away.
Echelon pilots, right? Going out with their ground attackers and their bombers, and that's what you're going to want to do. Don't use multi-role fighters. Do not use heavy fighters for this. Be using ground attackers and bombers, and the higher the tier, the better. If you don't have high tier, then just, you know, do your grind. You're going to get more ground damage done in a tier 6 or tier 7 ground attacker, for instance, than you will typically in a tier 8 multi-role fighter, for instance. So keep that in mind. If you've got like a tier 10 multi-role fighter, like the F7U, for instance, you know, a tier 10 multi-role fighter might be able to do a decent amount of ground damage if you've only got a mid-tier ground attacker or bomber, but otherwise use those GAs and bombers.
Yep.
Mission 8, destroy 50 enemy aircraft while defending sectors.
And once again, I'll repeat it. You want to get your defensive kills when it's convenient towards winning the match, that it achieves the outcome of winning the match, or the match is already lopsided in your favor and you can afford to defend. The reward is kind of nice for that one. 10 emergency engine cooling. That's one of the very OP consumables. It respawns after 49 seconds or so, usually is the count you see once your boost expires. It resets a count about 49 seconds. It's 60 seconds total, but from the time you pop it. So the time during which it's active actually counts towards cooldown as well. Plus, what's really nice with it is if you die, it resets. So that can be really, really handy in a scenario where you just popped your thing, get killed right away, and then have to respawn and spend precious seconds getting to a sector. It can definitely make or break, change the outcome of a game.
Again, this isn't any number of battles, of course, because just defeating 50 enemy aircraft to be substantial in one battle. So this is while defending sectors. So where we were talking before about earning those capture points, you need to make sure they're in the sector when you kill these enemy aircraft. So they obviously can't be the white aircraft that are in the sector before it's captured by either side.
Yeah, what I wanted to add to that point is the bot players have a tendency to be excellent at leaving the sector when you start shooting at them. It's like they know what you're trying to accomplish, and they're going to try every which way to sabotage you. Knowing that, let them penetrate the sector before you attack them. Don't go after them where they've just entered the edge of the system. They will find a way to get out most of the time. So let them get in. Once they're too far to turn back and get outside the sector before you kill them, and then that's when you go after them. Of course, you have to balance that with not allowing the ally bots or even human allies to steal your lunch and get all the kills before you start shooting at them. But yeah, there's ways to do that. Find your own sector, ideally, where there's no other human players to cause interference. You're probably more helping your team more if you're the unique human player in your sector than if there's two of you in the same sector doing the same job.
It has to be a blue sector, and you have to kill aircraft that are coming into the sector, and they have to die inside that sector. There's been many times where I'm attacking something inside of a sector, and it pops out of the sector right as I kill it. Well, if it's outside the sector, you're not killing the enemy aircraft while defending the sector. It's technically outside the sector, so it doesn't count as a defense. Make sure you're killing it inside the sector. That's going to count towards your 50. Mission number 9, destroy 25 armored sections of ground targets in a single battle.
Looks worse than it is. Get a shitty little supply crate as a reward, whatever. 25 armored sections of ground targets. Think about it this way. It's 13 anti-air gun encampments, not the 15-point ones that are all tents, but the ones that either have an armored, like square-shaped icon section on each side, or two together for the type of anti-air guns that shoot lower altitude. Which are the ones, by the way, that are a little bit easier to kill because the armored sections are together in a pack. So much easier to get the both of them with one bomb or 2 rockets than if you have to get the type that has the armored sections at each end. Now, of course, there's plenty of other types of ground targets that have armored sections. Some of them have more than others. The 50-pointer at a mine, for example, has 6. So it's 4 of these ground targets plus an additional armored section. Think about it this way. So it's really not too bad. That should be fairly easy to complete for most players, even if you don't necessarily have a super high tier bomber or a GA, can probably do that in something like an A26B, a PE2, even the AR2. If all you can do is tier 4, you'll be able to complete this, no problem.
This you're going to want bombers or ground attackers. The good thing is it's just armored sections of ground targets in a single battle. It doesn't matter what tier. You're not doing a threshold in HP. Keep in mind, it does need to be armored sections, so you can't be just attacking the tents. AA guns are not going to count towards this. They're not armored sections of ground targets, so it needs to be those heavier duty targets. Bombers tend to be really good at this, just because, bunch of bombs. Ground attackers are reasonably good at it, but bombers tend to be the better option for this type of mission. Plus, you get a supply crate out of it. Nice. Personally, like the premium consumables, I don't really use all that often, except on honestly, the meta planes that everybody and their brother's trying to kill. Sometimes I need that extra little bump when it comes to like emergency engine cooling and things of that nature. But typically, I just sell those. Okay.
Also, to me, the gold consumables, they convert to a higher win rate than the regular silver consumables, because they're just better. So why leave that advantage on the table? I'm not sure. Just take every advantage the game gives you. They give you these gold consumables. Use them. Your gold, or whatever you get out of selling them, is unconverted potential. It's just sitting in a dragon horde and not being converted to you winning more games. And the way to do that, to convert your resources, is to spend them and use them in game, especially towards things that win you more games. Getting a new plane won't win you more games. In fact, if you have to grind it to specialize it, you have to grind the upgrade parts that you don't have the free XP for, you're probably going to lose more games with that plane than you would if it's fully specialized and equipped all the way to 478 on every part. So knowing that, hold off till you have the free XP to buy at least all the upgrades on a new plane, and do things like I have no planes left I can buy with gold. I have them all, so I use my gold, I keep it, I squirrel it away until there's a sale on gold consumables, and then I spend it all on gold consumables, and I use them on almost every consumable, almost every game. It really it's really those small advantages that compound to a big advantage when you have, 12 of them.
Get extra money out of it. Mission 10, receive the Flying Vanguard badge. The Flying Vanguard badge is completable in a multi-role fighter, bomber, or a ground attacker. To get this badge, you need to capture 5 sectors in a battle. You can die, whatever you need to do. Obviously, the battle needs to last long enough for you to capture 5 sectors, but it needs to be in a ground attacker, bomber, or a multi-role fighter, and you can earn the Flying Vanguard badge. And you get your credit boosters, which is really nice. See, this is what I'm talking about. You're halfway done with the missions, and maybe you don't get the pilot, but you're getting these extra boosts, which is going to be nice. So mission 11, deal 80,000 HP of damage to aerial targets in any number of battles. So like the 65,000 previously, you just want the highest tier, typically heavy fighter that you can get. Fighters will be fine, multi-role fighters will be fine, but heavy fighters are going to be the best for this. And it's aerial targets. So attacking those bombing runs, you're going to get a lot of HP knocked out by attacking bombers and ground attackers. Those are the high HP targets. And it's any aerial target. So it doesn't necessarily need to be an enemy aircraft. It can just be any red or white aircraft is going to be good. Mission 12, participate in capturing 24 sectors in any number of battles. Slow and steady wins the race when it comes to that. Yeah, and literally any aircraft. So if you're just grinding, I don't know, the yak line.
Yeah, you're not going to change your playstyle much if you already have an optimal playstyle for that one. Just if you would be defending when you have 4 sectors and then the enemy has 1 normally, then go after the last sector. Get all the sectors you can. And keep in mind too, you don't need a lot to be credited with a sector captured. You can get just 15 capture points from a null tense ground target, and if that sector flips blue, you'll get credited with it. You don't need to be in it when it flips. You just need to have contributed to the capture points for it.
You can still grind the yak line.
Oh, you can even die, and if the sector flips long after you've died, it will count. When it doesn't count is when it flips red first and then flips back blue. If before it flipped red you contributed capture points, and that won't count. It has to be flipping blue the next time it flips for it to count in your count. And there might also be, I'm not sure about this, but there might also be a time limit. Let's say that the game lasts the full 12 minutes and there's a sector you hit for 15 capture points 1 minute into the game, and it flips at the end of the 12 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's not going to count. There seems to be maybe it's 3 minutes, I'm not sure, but there seems to be a period of time after which it resets and you don't count anymore.
You're going to capture sectors just by doing your normal thing, right? So 24 sectors in any number of battles, you can do it. Mission number 13, receive the Rocketeer honorary rank. Wow, that's what they call it now. A Rocketeer is going to be when you destroy an enemy aircraft with your rockets. There are aircraft completely built towards doing air-to-air combat with rockets. That's going to be things like your Batwing, your BVP 210, which is actually the plane after this at tier 8. Your BVP 210, which I absolutely love for getting Rocketeers. The 212 is really good at it as well at tier 9. And there's some other aircraft as well. The F-94D. We've also got the BVP 215, which is less good at it.
One of the Me-262s has air-to-air rockets. I don't remember if it's the 8 or 9. It's definitely not the 10. But yeah.
Even though it's got a million air-to-air rockets.
I kind of like the tier 10 Batwing personally. It's bulkier. It's got a decent turret. And though they reload a lot slower, the air-to-air rockets are, I think it's a load of 8 sets. They get a lot of chances. Let's say you're going after Golubov. The Rocketeer is just 1 kill, but Golubov is 3 kills and win the match. 3 kills in the same sortie, that is. That's a good one to go for it in. The only problem is you get to tier 10 and then the bots get smart. They don't go head-to-head against the Batwing anymore in tier 10. Not very often. So you'll have to count on humans to do that. And the humans are also higher skilled. So you get a lot more opportunities for it, in my experience, in tier 8.
But just because those planes I'm talking about, F-94D included, are built for air-to-air rocket and those kind of capabilities, any plane that has rockets on it is going to have the ability, so here's the F-94D, is going to have the ability to get a Rocketeer. It's going to be more difficult. These are air-to-ground rockets, but I've taken out aerial targets with air-to-ground rockets. So
the secret to hitting an air target that's coming head-to-head towards you when you're using air-to-ground rockets is to not shoot straight at the plane. Go a little askew, just a tad, because your rockets are flying straight out and they're under your plane. So they'll go, the dispersion just works out if you're aiming straight at the plane, that they go over and up and under the target a lot of the time. So if you just go a tiny bit down or a tiny bit up, you're more likely to hit, in my experience, than if you go straight.
So that's all you've got. It takes some finagling. Typically, it's easier to do that against ground attackers and bombers because they're less maneuverable.
They also have more hit points, so you're less likely to kill the target with your rockets, even if they hit. A more fragile, like light fighter, for example, if you do manage to hit them, which is a lot harder, granted, will die most of the time from a single rocket hit.
But
so basically, if you're going after a GA or a bomber and you want to finish it with your rockets to get the Rocketeer, wait till it's pretty low health to start hitting with your rockets.
You got to do what you got to do if that's all you've got, right? So good luck with that. But just one Rocketeer. You don't need to get anything crazy. And that's one of those missions. So yeah, a Rocketeer you get in one battle, but you know, if it takes you 5, 10, 12 battles to do it, so whatever. You get an advanced collimator sight out of it, so it's worth it. Mission 14, destroy 30 enemy bombers in any number of battles. This can be difficult.
Yes.
Because I don't think enemy bombers counts as those bombing runs that are going by.
The bomber flights
You've got to get the actual enemy bombers. And at high tiers, that's suicide. Really, tier 8's going to be difficult, but tier 9 and tier 10 bombers are just like, no, right? It's not what I want to do with my life.
So he's talking about the human ones that have a nicely specialized and built up a bomber. The bot bombers, even in tier 10, are pretty squishy. Not squishy as in, you know, easy to destroy, but a little bit wimpy as far as how much damage the turret does. It can still hurt you. Don't get me wrong. If you've got 10 hit points left, and you're going after a bot heavy, or a bot FE, I mean, you're gonna die for sure before you kill it. So don't do that. But if you're full health and you're going after an FE that's full health, let's say in Saber, you're gonna be able to take it down if it's the bot kind. It's the human kind, not so much.
So with this mission, actually, you're going to want to go the lower to the tier, the better, because the lower the tier the bomber, the more susceptible it is to your attack.
That's good advice.
Mid tiers are going to be great. There's a lot of good tier 5 and tier 6 heavy fighters, which is what you're going to want to take. Heavy fighters have the altitude performance typically, and the strong enough guns to take out enemy bombers without too much worry. So I'd aim for tier 5, tier 6. It can obviously be done at tier 4 and tier 7, but tier 5, tier 6 is going to be the sweet spot for doing this mission. And it's going to take you a while. Think about it. There's typically only 2 bombers per side, and even if you knock out the bombers twice each, that's 4 times each battle. It's going to take you 8 times to complete this mission. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, and I can do math. Receive an Akamatsu medal. One of my favorite medals. I think this is the one I've got like the most of. This Akamatsu is a fighter-only medal. This is a medal that you can earn by getting, I think it's 400 capture points in a sortie. Correct me if I'm wrong with that. I'm doing it off the top of my head. That means you can't die. You can die, but then you have to restart.
I have 1,297. Yeah. It's the trick to the Akamatsu is avoid other human fighters. they're going to see you, another human, and you're going to be the prime target. So focus on getting ADAs, enemy aircraft that are piloted by bots, and stay out of the sectors where the human enemies are on the other team. Yeah, and obviously be a lot more aware of when you're getting shot at, and don't just take it. Veer away from the line of fire when you realize you're getting shot at, and do it as soon as possible. If you're shooting at a target and you're letting someone else shoot you down while you're doing that, then you're not going to earn an Akamatsu's often doing that kind of thing. So let go of your target. You'll come back to it. It's more important to survive than to get immediate capture points. So focus on survival.
And remember, capture points are both attack and defense. So I typically am able to earn this by actually defending sectors. You know, you capture a couple sectors, you get those capture points, and you can defend a sector. And as long as the enemy captures a little bit and you defend and get those capture points back, you can get an Akamatsu.
Once again, we talked about, that earlier.
I'll probably get that in maybe 2 battles at the most. Mission 16, earn 120,000 personal points in any number of battles. That's just going to take a long time. And man, if you're only getting 4, 5, 6,000 personal points per battle, it's going to take a while, right?
Sounds so sad when he says that. Sorry, if you only score 6,000 personal points a game. Sorry, that was a time where both Monkey and I just scored 6,000 personal points a battle. There's absolutely no problem with that. I'm just poking fun a little bit there. But yeah, it's going to take you longer. So obviously, if you're a newer player, you're gonna benefit more from the advantage that a special pilot gives you. So it might be worth it for you to spend a little bit more time than you would normally playing, as long as it doesn't interfere with life, obviously. Those premium things you get early on in your career, so to speak, first of all, you'll use them for longer over their lifetime, because you're just at the beginning of the amount of total hours you're going to put into the game until you stop playing it, or it goes offline, God forbid. I think
even if you're getting 6,000 personal points per battle, that's going to be 20 battles if I'm doing the math properly. So it's just, keep plugging along. Do your normal grind is what I would recommend.
Yeah, and don't change your play style to score more personal points. If I see you in central airbase camping the sector the whole game, while the enemy has the other 4 sectors, and I'm on your team, I might say rude things about you on my stream. I'm just saying.
If I'm going down a certain line, just keep going down that line. If you've got a plane that you're just substantially better at than every other plane, and you're always knocking out 15,000 personal points in a battle, hop in that one if you just want to hop and get this mission done sooner. But otherwise, these kind of missions with the personal points, just do your normal grinding. If whatever line you're going down, do the grind.
Yep.
Mission number 17, destroy 4 enemy aircraft while attacking sectors in a single battle.
Not too bad.
So keep in mind, this is enemy aircraft. This is not those white or even the defending aircraft that are normally there, right? This is the actual spawned enemy aircraft. And you have to get them while they're in the red zones. Actually, it could be in a white zone, I guess, technically, while attacking sectors. So in a single battle, you've got to be the aggressor. So this is going to be.
So what helps with that is going to the sectors that are on the enemy's side of the map. So the side closest to their spawn point. Typically, a certain amount of bots will. Maybe not exactly lemming train, but they will go to that sector to try to defend it if there's if you're in there trying to cap it. Not universally true, but most of the time it is.
Really good for this is going to be really good for any, fighters are going to be fine for it, but it's going to be purpose built for heavy fighters and multi-role fighters to a lesser extent. You can technically do it in bombers and ground attackers. Typically, you're trying to avoid confrontation when you're in those types of planes. But I mean, hey, if you're that good at killing enemy aircraft while you're in a sector and a ground attacker, it can be done for sure. Mission 18, Flying Raider Badge. Flying Raider Badge is a multi-role fighter only badge, I believe. And you need 300 capture points, basically. As long as you are destroying enemy aircraft, air defense aircraft, and ground targets while you're attacking a sector. So this flying
defense does not count for this. So only white or red sectors count.
Flying Raider is not a defense capture points earning item. It's while attacking. You're being the raider. I mean, look, you get some nifty uprated engine. Mission 19, destroy 4 enemy heavy fighters in a single battle. So again, this is enemy aircraft, the spawned aircraft, and heavy fighters. There's typically 2 per side. So you'll have to, kill those 2, have them respawn, and kill them again. You get a steel supply crate, which are pretty nice.
So if you happen to get a bot game, don't hesitate to go spawn camp. Red teams spawn after you've killed the 2 enemy heavy fighters. Just go right to their spawn. You know where they're going to respawn, unless there's an airfield or an airbase that they've already flipped. But otherwise, you know where to find them when you need to get your 3rd and 4th kill, right? So don't just let them spread throughout the map and then have to run from one end of the map to the other. It's not too hard to get 4. I've seen missions where there was like 9 of a type in a single battle. And frankly, I was already pretty advanced into my progression and my skills when that happened a few years ago. And I had to use certificates because I wouldn't have gotten it anyway. It was just impossible to do unless you get the perfect bot game that lasts long enough where you can get the two copies of the type you need and then go spawn camp them right away. That was the only way to do it. With 4, you can probably get away with doing it as you would normally. But if you're struggling with it, try to find a tier where there's no human players. If you have lucky enough to get a bot game, don't hesitate to spawn camp. Don't do it against human players, though. That's unethical. It's really kind of a dick move, and will cause some people to uninstall the game. And we don't want to, make an already pretty small player base even smaller by being jerks to everyone.
And it can be done. Typically you want an aircraft that you're good at, that's a good anti-heavy fighter aircraft. There's some really fast fighters out there that are purpose built for taking down heavy fighters, but more often than not you're taking out another heavy fighter to take out that heavy fighter. So yeah, but whatever works best in your hand. And the last one is receive the Doolittle medal, which is an odd one to have as your 20th mission, to receive a pilot for multi-role fighter, because it is a bomber only medal.
Doolittle is 400 points from ground targets only. Only ground targets count. So if you're getting kills with your turret, those do not count towards the Doolittle.
Doolittle is a sortie medal. That means you need to earn 400 capture points in a single sortie while in a bomber. If you die, it restarts. So as long as you die early on, you've got enough time typically to earn those 400 capture points. Then you'll get Emma Vogel, and you get some extra bonus on the boosts as well. Not a whole lot of time to complete this mission. That's kind of about it, in my opinion. If you haven't started, I'm recording this on the 14th. This video is going to post on the 15th. You should start sooner rather than later, just so you can get ahead of it, right? But they're not impossible by any means. There's really nothing here that's this crazy, like, oh, this one mission is going to take me forever. The only one really for me that's going to take a long time is probably the Doolittle, but there's much better bomber pilots out there than me. The rest of them are just going to be either just time consuming, like 800,000 damage to ground targets, or yeah, that's really, yeah. Anyway, so nose to the grindstone, you'll get through it. If you don't get the pilot out of it, it's fine. You can at least get these bonus rewards, and that's definitely good. But if you do want to get the pilot, if you're trying to get Emma, who is she? What is she? Well, she's the pilot for the FW-190 Dora. She has 5 skill points right out of the gate. One is the FW190D Master. So this replaces the Protection Expert skill and includes those bonuses. Plus you get plus 10% boost duration, plus 10% range to the forward firing armament, plus 40% effect of equipment that helps the aircraft HP and resistance to critical damage.
In my opinion, pretty helpful. So let's say you have 800 meters range, all of a sudden now you have 880. But typically, range bonuses only apply to the suboptimal part of the range. I'll show what I mean here. So if you go to any plane, you see 680 is the ideal range where you're not losing accuracy anymore. Past 680, between 850 and 680, it's a lot harder to hit. You're going to have a much lower hit percentage. And typically, the bonuses only increase that range between 680 and 850 for this particular plane. It does not apply to the optimal smaller range. That's the only downside of it, but it's still a pretty big advantage. You know, you can hit your enemy from further out. That means there's a range at which you start being able to hit them and they can't hit you. And that's huge.
And it's only good for the FW190D. So it's only going to work when she's in this particular plane. The other one is a high altitude maneuvering, which works on any plane that she can pilot.
Yeah, for me personally, especially, granted, this is a multi-role, so not terribly good altitude performance. I'm not a big altitude freak. I know there's a lot of people who think altitude is very important and you shouldn't try not to bleed your altitude, and that's true in real fighter combat, in real life for sure. But if you play a style like mine, you're up and down all the time. I spend a lot of time at low altitude going after GAs because they're easy prey. They typically don't hurt you back too much. They take a little while to gun down, so they have a lot of hit points, but they're big targets. They're hard to miss. Plus, your light ADAs are prime targets to flip sectors. Yeah. So I'm not sure this is, you know, the best special pile for my particular style of play, but everyone has a different style. You'll find some people who it's going to be their best special pilot, I'm sure of that.
This skill replaces the standard eagle-eyed skill. It gives you 10% acceleration in a dive, plus 10% controllability in a dive, plus 5% maneuverability in pitch, and minus 5% stall speed, so you can actually go a little bit slower.
Well, pretty unnoticeable. Let's say your stall speed is 200 kilometers an hour, minus 5% is going to make it 180. No, yeah? No, less than that. 5% of 100 is 5, so yeah, 190. That's not a big difference, honestly. It's probably be very lucky to get into a situation where that makes a difference between stalling and not stalling, and as a result you don't die when you would have died otherwise. That seems pretty unlikely to me. What I also don't like about the universal skill is that it replaces the standard eagle-eyed and does not give you the eagle-eyed vision bonus. I care about vision a lot. I want to see my enemy before he sees me. So that to me is a little bit of a downside of it, but again, really depends on your style.
So what does all this mean? So for survivability, that means anything that we're using survivability to boost HP, or the survivability of the engines or the pilot.
It gives a great explanation of the mechanics of the... You don't have to have an armored part for the... and he's going to explain this, but just to put the emphasis on it, you don't need to have a part that is armored, like a reinforced airframe or cockpit armor, for the bonus to apply, because there's plenty of parts that have bonus characteristics that, even though the part itself, the base characteristics, don't apply to armor or hit points, or sometimes even make those characteristics worse. They have bonus characteristics that the bonus applies to. It also applies to pilot skills. that give you these bonuses, and it applies to penalties. So your penalties, let's say you get a minus 20 hit points for a part, well, it's going to become minus 15 instead. I think it's 5%, right? No, it's more than that, but whatever the percentage is, yeah, you get my point.
Is going to be boosted by that 40%, right? Standard 40%, HP, wow. I'm showing at 340. I've got mine built for speed. I've got the collimator sight on here. I'm probably going to keep the collimator sight on here. And same with the engine. I'm going to keep the boost mixture. I don't see any...
That is probably exactly the build I would have. Down to the consumables.
Reason to have the...
I would use a gold one, so obviously we've had that discussion a bit earlier, but yeah, same ones otherwise.
Armor protection for it, just because the engine's not getting knocked out all the time. Nothing on the guns is survivability based, so the only thing that could really be changed out would be, instead of the polished skin that I've got on here, maybe going with air reinforced.
Or your lightweight wing frame. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm more sure than I'm not, that lightweight wing frame has a few bonus characteristics that you can get with them that are affect armor. Plus it takes a hit point penalty, which is lessened by 40%. So definitely consider the lightweight wing frame if you use maneuverability a lot, especially.
First airframe. Now if I click on here, I've got a bunch in the depot. Let's just say I put on here the advanced reinforced airframe. That's plus 10% to the HP, plus 10% resistance to fire, and plus 10% to the tail's resistance to critical damage. All that gets a 40% buff, meaning that instead of plus 10% HP, it's actually going to be plus 14%. Plus 14% resistance.
Oh, Imperial Reckon. You're next player, I take it? Well, hopefully we're convincing you to get back to it.
Fire, plus 14% tail's resistance to critical damage. And that's pretty significant. 10% HP would be adding 34 hit points to this. 14, you're going to be adding like 40, 42 points, something like that. And that can make or break your plane. Is it more valuable to you than airspeed like I've got mine set up for? That's going to be really up to you. I'm certainly going to mess around with it to figure it out. But the other things that are helpful, you get an extra boost duration. You get the extra range of your forward firing armament. That's going to be helpful in happening no matter what. So even if I don't leverage the 40%, I'm definitely going to be getting a boost out of this.
And remember, if you have the pilot skill aerodynamics expert, the pilot's boost to speed and maneuverability parts will apply to that 10% boost duration. Because it applies to pilot skills as well as parts. So it applies to all bonuses and penalties. So it can compound into, 2, 3, 4 additional seconds, depending what the base amount of seconds is. So that can be pretty interesting if you can manage to leverage that a lot with your playstyle.
And then if I do, even though I'm losing out on some speed from the polished skin, I still get more boost duration. So, it might balance it out. And everything else that you've got going on here with the help to the maneuverability and acceleration beyond that even, it might just be better to have survivability boost with Emma on here. So yeah, there you go. We've got the Soaring Eagle going on right now. Today is
the rest is just as outro. If you want to watch the rest, I put the link in the description. If you got any enjoyment or learned anything from this video, please go give Postal Monkey's video a like and subscribe to his channel. Thank him very much for making the video. A couple of points we disagreed on. It's not that I think he's wrong and that I'm right. It's just every player has his own style, his own particularities, and what works for one might not work for the other. And then there's the one little thing, factoid, that we're going to verify about when blue sector is full and no capture points have been removed, whether a defensive kill still counts towards your personal count of capture points. He thinks it does not. and I am pretty sure that it does. So that's the only one little thing to correct. Otherwise, super good video. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty thorough analysis full of good little tips and tricks. So he's got a great production quality to his videos. I've always liked Monkey's work a lot. So yeah, give him your subs and your likes.